They've told me it's hard. They've told me it's difficult, but you're going to see me from the top waving or dead on the side because I ain't coming back. That level of congruency, that's the wolf, brother.
Welcome to the PTG Podcast. This podcast is about guests sharing their stories about little or big adversities, discomfort, traumas, limitations that made them who they are for the better. In each guest story, we'll encapsulate with a vivid comparison. For example, the phoenix rising from the ashes or a butterfly's metamorphosis. It will help my guests, myself, and audience members help focus and reflect on the bump in the road we've all experienced or currently experiencing, and it helps us paint a picture of strength and resilience. Welcome to the PTG Podcast. My name is Paul. Welcome, Kabir.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks so much for having me over here. Lovely to be here with you.
Awesome. We were talking offline a little bit about yourself. If you don't mind, just a little bit about yourself and how you get this podcast.
Yeah, so I believe we met online, and that we got connected, and I liked what you were doing with this podcast, and I said this would be a beautiful opportunity to come and share with some of your audience as well. I think when it comes to the American dream, right, and both of us having been immigrants, you from the Philippines and me from India, we're very familiar with this concept of the American dream. And living in India specifically, I used to always wonder, what is exactly this American dream? And then Christmas Eve 2014, I found myself at Los Angeles airport with $25 in immigration visa and a dream.
Did
So
you grow up poor?
I grew up from a very poor family. Yes, I wouldn't say we grew up very poor, but we were lower middle class for sure. We didn't have everything that our heart desired. We didn't have everything that, mom's money and dad's money didn't pay for everything. In fact, my parents got divorced because of the fact that there wasn't enough money that there was in there, right? So
That's a
at
big
an early age, yes.
That happened to me too. Well, man, but it was definitely was friction. Yeah, friction.
Yes.
Yeah.
At a very early age, I've been quite adept to living under my means and finding a way to make stuff happen. So whether it be from in school where I used to deliver food, I started this small little food business called Foodie Call back in college. And we were essentially selling products. We were selling our food products on Sunday evenings. I found a gap in the market where the college mess would feed 20 meals a week to its students. And the
Where was
21st
this?
meal, this is
In
in India.
America?
This
Oh,
is
in
in
India.
India.
Okay.
And the 21st meal, which is the Sunday dinners, was not provided by the hostel. So I found the opportunity and took it upon myself to go out and actually make some food. So you would have to order on Google Forms by 6 p.m. And then I would go and buy the ingredients. And by 9 p.m., I'd have it delivered to the dorms. And I made a little bit of side money from there. And then I went on to
All by
open up.
yourself, huh?
Yes, well, my girlfriend was with me at the time. So she was well, a little helping hand, encouragement there. And from there, I essentially started my own restaurant when I was in college. I did a 42-seater restaurant while I was in Pune in India.
How
And
old
then
were you?
this was, I think I was 17 or 18.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness.
yeah, a pretty crazy experience back then. And then I moved, oh, no, I think it's 18 or 19 perhaps. And then I moved to the US when I was just shy of 21. I immigrated over to the US and I started off again in the restaurant industry because that's all I knew. I didn't have any formal education to say. And, my whole life I've been given this story that if you don't do well in school, don't do well in college, don't climb up the corporate ladder, you'll end up as a failure. And me, that had shown up pretty strong because I got kicked out of 10th grade for bringing vodka to school. Apparently, that's frowned upon, in case you were wondering.
Wait. Why'd you bring the vodka?
So I'd make two batches of iced teas every Friday to bring to school. And one was for the seniors and one was for the juniors. And the seniors one, only the seniors knew. Of course, the teachers didn't know, had vodka in it. The one for the juniors did not. I mixed up the bottles one Friday. And so the one with the vodka ended up with the juniors. And it ended up in a pretty bad situation. And then I ended up getting pretty drunk in school and I had to get expelled from school for that. So that was an interesting experience for me back then. But the reason I say this is because I was led to believe that unless I do well in school, get good grades, I'm going to end up as a failure. And all of my life, I had gotten just above pass grade, nothing exceptional, just above pass, just enough. And then when I came to the US, I first took on a job as a busboy in Los Angeles. I worked for a Mexican restaurant, and I quickly learned that the busboy
When was
makes.
this?
This was in 2015, early 2015.
And
Um,
how old were you?
I was 21. I was just 21 then.
Okay. Oh wow.
2015, yes. And I was working as a busboy, and I quickly learned that the busboy makes his money by getting tipped out by the servers. So I said, okay, how can I add more value to the service? And this will be more important later on in my story. But I learned that I needed to add more value to get paid more. So what I started doing is I started actually doing the server's job for them. It was crazy. I would like help them not just bust the table, but pre-bust the table as well, making their job easier. And at the end of the night, they'd tip me out handsomely and I'll make a good deal of money and they'd make more money as well. So just kind of working together and adding more value. Quickly, I realized that Los Angeles was too expensive and I was not going to be able to sustain my lifestyle in Los Angeles as a busboy. So from there, I actually switched gears completely.
Pardon me.
Go ahead.
uh, let me just pause this real quick. Guys, I'm doing a podcast. Okay, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So from there, after Los Angeles, I moved over to Mississippi because I realized that my money was not going to get me very far in Los Angeles as a busboy. And
Okay,
then I,
this is a lot happening, Kabir. Okay, let's back up. Let's start from the beginning. Okay.
where would you
So
like?
yeah, I love it. I love the experience. So when did you so you were in India for how long were you in India?
I was born and brought up in India. I lived there till the age of 21, and that's when I moved and
And that's when you
immigrated.
immigrated to
That's correct.
Minnesota.
First to Los Angeles and then Mississippi.
My God. How did you get here? Was it family or what?
Yes, my mom essentially got married to a white guy. That's about how basic the story gets. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
do what
fell
you
in
have to
love
do.
in they fell in love in India, and they basically moved over. And as part of once they got married, and once my mom was already living here in the U.S., she decided to move my brother, my younger brother, and myself over as well.
Did you go to school here?
No, I did not.
Oh, you already graduated.
Yes, well, technically, I never graduated.
Oh, okay. So when you started here, did you already already had earlier on? You had mentioned that you already had like the entrepreneurial spirit,
Yes. So I didn't
and
realize this entrepreneurial spirit until many years later. So I'll fast forward a few chapters in my story. So I worked in Mississippi for a little bit as a server, and then after that I moved over to Florida. And my real entrepreneurial story starts in 2019. It
okay,
was
okay.
June 2019.
Because I want to get
And
I want to get the meat and potatoes of it, you know.
that's into the meat
Yeah,
and potatoes of it. Yes.
yeah.
So June 2019, I was working 4 jobs at the time. I was working as a line cook. I was working as a server. I was working as a DoorDash
You're still
delivery
in
driver.
your 20s.
Yes, that's correct. I was working as a DoorDash delivery driver as well as an Uber driver as well. So 4 different jobs that I was working, and I was $36,000 in debt at the time, and I was
You're
going
living at home.
400. I'm sorry, one more time.
You're living at home.
No, I had my own apartment by that
Okay.
time, but I was going $400 further in debt every single month. And I couldn't figure out what it was. So I made a decision. I had Mondays off. One day in the week I had off, which was Mondays. So Sunday evening, I found myself at home, poured myself a glass of red wine. This wine's got some legs. And I made a decision. And the decision that I made is that I am a failure. And I lived with that decision for almost 3 months, worst 3 months of my life. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. But what happened at the end of those 3 months is I found myself again 3 months later, same Sunday, same 4 jobs, same glass of red wine. This wine's got some legs. And I made a different decision. The decision that I made this time over was that I just don't have the right answers. So I went out looking for answers, and I went out, I hired a coach. I watched a lot of videos online on YouTube
Mhm.
University, on entrepreneurship, opening up an LLC, businesses, money, how money works, financial education, all of these things. And then when I hired my first coach, I quickly realized I was looking in all the wrong places for the answers. I was looking for answers externally. I was looking for business
Mhm.
opportunities, better jobs,
Mhm.
something to just come and land in my lap. And unfortunately, this is the strategy that most unsuccessful people follow. They're just
Mhm.
hoping and wishing, crossing their fingers. I hope something happens. But that's
Mhm.
not a good strategy. What my coach explained to me, he said that you've got to stop looking externally and
Mhm.
start looking internally. It's only when I
Mm.
started the journey internally that I was able to find the opportunities. And I would almost challenge anybody even listening to this podcast. In everybody's life today, I guarantee that you've got at least 10 opportunities in your life today that can make you millions of dollars, but you're just not seeing it. Because the unconscious mind can only process 126 bits of information. Through our senses, we receive 2 million bits of information every single second, but we can process only 126 on a good day. And I'll prove it to you. For example, as I'm saying this, you might notice the air flowing around you. Maybe in the distance, you can hear the traffic even through your headphones. Maybe you can feel yourself breathing, your heart pumping through your veins. That stuff was happening even 5 seconds ago, wasn't it? But you didn't notice it. It's only when I brought your attention to it that you started to notice it. So, just like that, finances are very similar as well. The opportunities are always right here, they're right in front of our face, but we don't see it because our minds delete, generalize, and distort everything. Everything. It's like perhaps you've heard of this as the red car theory. It's activating the reticular activating system. When you're buying a red car, suddenly all you see is red cars on the road. Did the number of red cars in the road change? No, absolutely not. Just your focus changed.
So
So when I
Kabir,
changed, go ahead.
So that's very that resonates a lot. That resonates a lot with me. You know, focusing on internal factors instead of
Yes.
external factors.
Yes.
So once you realize that, what did you do? What did you do with it?
So I
Did you
ran with it.
change? Yeah.
But I started seeing opportunities that were already around me, right? One of my first businesses I started was an Amazon automation business. I grew that. And December 7th, 2019, I put in my notice to quit my job. No idea how I was even going to make rent on January 1st, 2020. And then December 31st of 2019, I made my first sale in business and made $40,000 in one day. And to me, that was the most incredible thing in the world because I didn't even realize. I was like, wow, this kind of money is possible to make in business. And then from there, I started my marketing agency, which today is worth just short of $750,000. It's just under 750K is what it's
So
valued.
it kind of like it lit a fire in you, and so you, okay.
Yes,
So
most
then
definitely.
you had mentioned that you were in debt. That we don't have to get too detailed into it, but like how what did you how did you fix that?
Well, I made a lot of money.
Oh,
Uh,
that helps. That helps.
So what I
Sorry.
realized is that I was playing the game wrong. Most people play the game backwards. They look and see, how can I do this? And then they try to formulate everything else around the how. But that's not what's important. Once you figure out the what and get that very, very clear, the second step is figuring out the why. If you have the what that's clear and the why that's clear, the how becomes apparent. But most people don't even think about the what and the why. They just think about the how. They just think about the how. They just think about the how. And if you're constantly focused on the how, you're not going to get what you need. When you're constantly focused on the why, when you're constantly focused on the what, and you get it 100% clear. So a good example would be a lot of people said goes, I want more money. Cool. Here's $1. You just made more money. And the unconscious mind just checks it off. But that's not true. You got to be specific about what you want. You got to be specific about what your goals are and where you want to get. So when I got specific and got congruent about the why do I want to achieve these goals? I want financial freedom for myself, my family. I want to be able to give to charities. I want to be able to impact the world. My mission in this world is to live fully alive with passion, to enjoy each moment and to do more for others and myself. I want to positively impact 1 billion lives in my lifetime. To me, I'm going to be having my midlife crisis at 70 years old. I plan to live to at least 140. When you get so specific with exactly what you want, is a different set of choices that you make. There's a different life because the lifestyle of somebody who's expecting to die. Let me ask you this, for example. If I ask you to picture a person that's 80 to 90 years old, or if I asked you to close your eyes and simply picture a person that's 80 to 90 years old, what would this person look like?
For the majority, like the stereotype is that they're already pretty much they're decrepit. Yeah.
Completely. But the thing is that if that's what the picture that you're going to have in your head of an 80, 90-year-old man, woman, whatever it might be, that's probably who you're going to become, because what you focus on expands. If you're going to focus on that, that's what you're working towards. To me,
Mhm.
I'm focusing on much beyond that. I'm focusing on 140. I want to get there. To me, at 70, I'm just getting started. I'm 29 today. I celebrate my 30th birthday next year. I haven't even hit 30 yet. And the way that I'm looking, this is just a warm-up season. Once I hit
Mhm.
30, now we're getting the engine started. We're cranking it up. And now we're
So
starting to build on this.
can you walk the audience through like a typical day for you, Kabir?
So
Mhm.
and this is the difference between, and it's such a great question that you asked, because this is the difference between what successful people do and what others do, right? What
Mm.
successful people do, what others are not willing to do. So I'll walk you through my typical day, and it might sound absolutely berserk to somebody listening to this, but it's important to understand that that's what success looks like. Well, and for
Mhm.
everybody, it looks different. For me, what it looks like is I wake up at about 5:36 in the morning. First thing I
Mhm.
do is I get a workout in, and then after that, I've got a cold plunge. So I get a little cold plunge, 3 to 4 minutes in my cold plunge.
I
And then
started taking cold showers, by the way. They're great,
amazing,
yeah.
amazing. Yes, cold showers are, there's something about cold, which, so for me, the cold plunge is two reasons I do it. One is, of course, for the health benefits. And the second is because I know when I tell myself go, it's go time. I
Go
don't
time.
negotiate with myself. That means when it's time to do something, I do it no matter what. I'm building a muscle. It's just like going to the gym, right? So I do my workout, I do my cold plunge, and then I basically do a little bit of a meditation. I practice gratitude. I start my day with
Same,
gratitude. Because if
same.
you, I love that. I love that, brother. And if you've got the gratitude, you can definitely unlock new levels of satisfaction of life. You can get through any challenge that might come your way in life. So after I've got that done, then I start looking at some of my things. I have a specific way that I plan my day out from the day before. I start out with a peer momentum buddy call, which is with one of, so I'm part of this program with other peers that are making 7, 8 figures a month. And essentially we do
Mhm.
a 30-minute quick check-in call. It's a different person every 2 weeks, daily calls, and it's like a peer coaching basically. So we're doing some peer
Mm.
coaching to start the day out. From there, I'm getting into my work. I don't check emails first thing in the day. I don't check text messages first thing in the day. I'm not going on Facebook Messenger first thing in the day. All that happens in the evening. In the morning, what I want to do is I want to focus what takes my most energy, what takes my most energy and my most time. So I'm normally doing things like coaching calls first thing in the morning where I'm the coach. So I'm doing coaching calls
Mm.
for other people. What I'm normally doing is looking at new business plans. I'm analyzing what my team can do to be better. Each day
Mhm.
of the week, I've got a different theme that I look into and I see how can I make the day better. For example, my Wednesday theme is team optimization. So every
Mhm.
Wednesday, the first half of the day, all I do is think, how can I optimize my team to be better? What can we do better? Because in a business, if you're not growing, you're dying. So
Mhm.
that's what I start my day with that. And then I possibly go in between 12 and 4. I've got many different calls, whether it be for a podcast like this, or whether it be a meeting with somebody or a one-on-one, something like that, a connection call, getting to know somebody new, something like that. So 12 to 4, I've got a couple different calls. And then maybe 1 or 2 hours in the evening, I have for checking my social medias, making sure I'm caught up. I post something like 26 pieces of content a day. So I get a lot of comments and interactions and DMs. So I respond to all of those for an hour or two. And then at the end of my day, essentially, that's me time. That's time where I'm
Mm.
taking out time for myself. I'm doing some personal development courses. I'm doing some reading. I don't have a girlfriend yet, but that would be the time that I would spend
Mhm.
some time with my beloved and my significant other as well, right? So those are the kind of things that I like to do in my typical day. And my typical day, I'm in bed by 10, 10:30. Now, I'm present to the fact that this is not what most people's typical day looks like. And I also
Yeah.
eat 2 meals a day currently, both very healthy meals. I have a nutrition coach as well that walks me through exactly what I should be eating, what I shouldn't be eating. Because again, if I'm going to live to be 140, I need to behave like that today. Because there's no point
Mhm.
getting to 70 and saying, oh, I need to get to 140, right? Because
Mhm.
you're not going to get there. You've got to start the planning from now. You've got to live as if from today. So that's kind of my secret and how I live my day, brother.
Mm. So, is your day always regimented like that, or do you have like just days where you're just like, oh, it's no
Monday through Friday is pretty much regimented like that.
regimented?
Uh,
Uh-huh.
Saturdays is a little bit more of a connection day. So what I'll typically do is connect with old friends, connect with family members, extended family. I'll do some video calls, things like that. And then Sunday's me day. So it's me day. I also have a process that I do to revisit my goals. So I've got multiple goals in different areas of life. So I've got relationship goals, I've got personal fitness goals, I've got finance goals, I've got health goals, I've got all these different goals, right? So I revisit each of these goals on every Sunday for a couple hours, and I plan my week ahead. And when I revisit my goals in each area, I set goals for the week, for the month, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. And I revisit all of these for in each category every single Sunday. So it takes a couple hours to revisit all of this stuff. So you're going through a lot of different goals here. So what I typically do is that on Sundays, and then I spend the rest of the day just kind of reading, connecting with family, and just taking some time to myself. Again, that Saturday and Sunday are also days where, again, I'm looking to attract that ideal partner into my life right now, right? So I can't attract that ideal partner into my life unless I've already got space to fit them into my schedule. So that's the space
Yeah.
to attract that
How
person.
many businesses? How many businesses do you run?
Currently, I have 8 or 9,
Oh my
something
gosh.
like that. Yeah.
I reckon that takes up a lot of time. So
Believe it or not.
are those more like hands-on role or more like
So when I
yeah, I mean
start
what's yeah.
when I start a
Describe your
business, Paul, something that I like to really tell entrepreneurs that are looking to start new businesses, if you cannot exit the business in less than a year, then you don't have a business, you have a fancy job. And most people think that they have a business, but in reality, what they have is a fancy job. And what I mean by that is that you've got to be able to exit your business. That means your employees take care of it. That means your employees do everything for it. So I've got teams in each of my businesses. The only business that depends on my time is my coaching business. And that's because I'm the coach. And last week, well, 2 weeks ago now, I just hired 2 coaches under me that are going to be coaching at a cheaper rate. So I am looking at building that out into a coaching business as well, right? Because I'm very present to the fact that it's currently a fancy job because I'm the coach. That means I have to take out my time. Something that's important to understand while building wealth is as long as you exchange your time for money, you'll end up with neither. No matter how much you're getting paid. Like I charge $1,000 an hour for my coaching. So it doesn't matter if you're getting paid $15 an hour, $20 an hour, $1,000 an hour. As long as you exchange your time for money, you'll end up with neither. And if you can't exit your business in 1 year or less, then you don't have a business. You have a fancy job, and you shouldn't even start that business unless you want a fancy job. And for some people, a fancy job is fine. And that's okay. I respect that. We need some of those people in
yeah.
this world as well. It's just not going to be me. And that's not what entrepreneurship is about.
Interesting point of view. Interesting insight. Okay, so as I mentioned before earlier in the podcast, the format is kind of like getting to know each other and just telling our stories. And you're very you have a very compelling story. And I in an email I sent you like some ideas of kind of a metaphor,
Yeah.
just to solidify and to just encapsulate all the things that we've experienced. So if you can, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the
Yes,
email
I
with the
did.
different metaphors. Was there any particular ones that stood out
So
to you, or the ones
something that,
if you had one, you're perfectly
sure.
welcome to use it too.
Something that I came up with that I've even posted on my website. Now, my
Oh,
marketing guys came up with this one a couple years,
oh.
but I really like it. So I've embraced it quite a bit.
I'll share it in the description.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. So we talk about how in the marketplace, right, in the financial marketplace, we talk about how there's bulls and there's bears. So typically bulls are the market going up and bears are the market going down, right? We're all familiar with
Uh-huh.
those terms. So my marketing guys came up with this saying. It says, "You've heard about the bulls and the bears, but it's the wolf that makes a killing." And that's funny because my last name is Wolf, so it fits perfectly in there. So you've
Oh my
heard of the
gosh.
bulls and the bears, but it's the wolf that makes a killing. So and the metaphor behind that is life goes up, life goes down, business goes up, business goes down. That doesn't matter. Are you able to make a killing? And what the killing is specifically referring to in business is the profit, the money you're bringing in. Are you able to get the sale? Are you able to close the business deal? Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be up markets, there's always going to be down markets. In any market, both of them are going to exist. Not to think so is naive, but you've got to be the wolf. You've got to be the wolf that goes at it no matter what. Because when you can look at something and say, when the man looks at the mountain and says, I'm climbing up that mountain, they've told me it's hard, they've told me it's difficult, but you're going to see me from the top waving or dead on the side because I ain't coming back. That level of congruency, that's the wolf, brother.
I love it. I love it. It was this was great to talk to you, great to meet you, and we'll keep in touch. But then thanks again for thanks for joining me for the podcast, and have a wonderful rest of your holidays.
Thanks for having me, Paul. And I
Thanks,
hope that
brother.
your audience was able to enjoy some of this. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays to you as well, brother.
Thanks, brother. Take care. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.